What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you the battle for Week 2 of the DGBA, and this week we are up against Parkzy, whose link is in the description. I encourage you to check him out, and I'm going to butcher the absolute crap out of this, I think, and his Armagh armadillos, A-R-M-A-G-H, is that Armagh? Maybe? I don't know. Either way, before I get into the team or in the battle, just a reminder that if you guys like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, as it helps us out a lot and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. But anyway, on to the team that I am bringing. So last week's theme for the DGBA was 10-minute prep, no more, no less. This week's theme is a gravity-based team where every single mon has to have an inaccurate move in one way or the other, and both Deoxys and Landris will have gravity. Now, Parkzy's team, his full team, is Celesteela, Zygarde, Victini, Tapu Bulu, Terrakion, Seismitoad, Thundurus T, Miltank, Starmie, Persian, or Alolan Persian, and Mega Beedrill. So a very scary team, but if I can get gravity up, Landris absolutely goes to town against his team, so that's kind of what my quote-unquote end game's gonna be. But either way, I have gravity, the mons that I am bringing. It's a gravity Deoxys with Zap Cannon and Ice Beam. Unfortunately, Deoxys does not get Blizzard. If it did, you can bet that I would be bringing that over Ice Beam, but unfortunately Ice Beam's the only coverage that it gets, and I do need this thing to be able to revenge Zygarde, as I do have enough speed for it. I have a Rock Polish, Gravity, Landorus with, I believe, Earth Power and Focus Blast. I have a Weavile. Weavile's just kind of standard. I tried to go a little bit more heat with the rest of my team, or at least not necessarily heat, but more with the theme of inaccurate moves plus gravity, but Weavile was just kind of standard. I needed it to help out, revenge some stuff, just be a general nuisance. Superior is a really annoying set with Leaf Storm, Glare, Leech Seed, and Reflect. Reflect hopefully allows me to set up gravity and Rock Polish with Landorus, or Dragon Dance up with Dragonite later in the game. Heatran is a Magma Storm set with Stealth Rock, Toxic, and Protect, just a annoyance, and also rack up the residual damage on some of his mons, and also be something that can take out Celesteela. And Dragonite is a Dragon Dance, Roost, Ice Punch, and Dragon Rush set. I know I'm running Dragon Rush because I had to stick with the theme of inaccurate moves, and I was like, yeah, this can do a little bit more with the Dragonium Z. Now, you might be looking at my team and wondering, well, where's my Scarf Terrakion switch in? Well, in the words of Jolt, just dodge. So that's going to be the mantra we are going for. I mean, if he is a Scarf Terrakion, I believe he 2-hit KOs absolutely every single mon on my team, and I really have not a whole lot of counterplay to that, so that's just kind of how we have to go with it. But looking at his team, he did bring the mons that would be most annoying, and even the Miltank, so I was like, ah, crap, well, that's gonna be rough for my Landorus to take out. But the fact that I did decide on Focus Blast over Sledge Wave will help me out a little bit in that regard. So I'm actually going to lead off with my Deoxys, as I can try to get up the gravity turn 1 as he leads off with his Persian, and I really don't want to take a parting shot immediately, as I would like to be at least at neutral in order to do appropriate damage to his Celesteela with Zap Cannon, because the -1 Zap Cannon is not going to do crap. So I'm going to go into my Superior to try to take advantage of the parting shot, as he actually ends up going for knockoff and knocks off my leftovers, so that honestly is not a big deal at all. So what I'm going to do this turn, knowing that Persian is probably going to switch out, or parting shot or U-turn, is go straight for the Glare, as Celesteela or Miltank was his likely switch-in. Miltank, if it had Sap Sipper, would have been a switch-in, and Glare just caught both of them. And Celesteela is just as nice to get the Glare off on, because of how annoying that thing can be in paralyzing it, with the addition of being able to have some free turns against Celesteela, particularly in crucial situations, might come back to really help me in the late game. So now, with Celesteela paralyzed, I'm going to go straight for the Leech Seed. I don't think he has anything that can knock me out in one hit, as Heavy Slam does a nice chunk, but with the Leech Seed recovery, I'll be back to near half, allowing me to set up the Reflect as he goes into Beedrill. I was thinking about double glaring, but at this point I was like, nah, I'll just go straight for the Reflect, and now I'm going to switch out into my Heatran, as if he goes for Poison Jab, it's not going to hurt. If he Mega Evolves and goes for U-turn, which he does, that's not going to do anything, and even though this does give him switch initiative, I have the Reflect up, and I can switch into something to respond to whatever he decides to bring in. He does decide to bring in the Starmie. Well, that's not a good matchup for Heatran at all. The Reflect isn't going to do crap to help me, so I'm going to go straight into my Deoxys, as I can take one hit of whatever this Starmie wants to go for. As he goes for Scald, and that does a crap load, so that is either an offensive Starmie or he's Analytic, which is actually a really cool bring in this matchup. And I mean, I didn't run any calcs, but just the fact that a Scald does over half to a Deoxys that actually has a decent amount of bulk, I would think that that has to be analytic, or at least a very offensive Starmie. So now I'm going to go for the recover, as I'm thinking that he might just try to switch something out as he pulls the switch into his Persian, and if he decided to stay in and Scald again, well, no harm, no foul. We're just back to where we were, and I can either set up a Gravity or a Zap Cannon. So I just decided to immediately recover to see what his initial switch in as he goes into his Persian, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, there's no way he's going to try to parting shot at this point, so even if he does U-turn out, which he does, well, then I'm still at neutral, and I will be able to hit whatever comes in for a good amount of damage. I've already shown that my initial response is superior on his Persian, so I don't think he's going to try to parting shot and give me a free +1, so that's why I felt safe to go for the Gravity right there, as he does just U-turn out, and he ends up going back into his Starmie. But now that the Gravity is up, I get to reveal the Gravity Techs in Zap Cannon, which will unfortunately not quite knock out the Starmie, as my Expert Belt does not equal enough damage, and he is able to get a Scald off, and I'm going to finish this thing off with Ice Beam. Again, very sad that I wasn't able to run Blizzard, so Ice Beam had to suffice. But now he's going to go into his Alolan Persian. I'm not going to bother with that thing. I don't want Deoxys knocked out yet, as I do think I can set up the Gravity again later against anything on his team that isn't named Terrakion, as I've already proven that I outspeed everything else. And I mean, well, I guess technically Miltank could be Scarf, but I don't quite outspeed a Scarf Jolly Miltank if he decided to run that, but let's be real, he's probably not going to run that. So I'm going to go into my Superior as he knocks off, and once again, really felt like glaring, but I decided that in the event that he went Celesteela, it really wasn't worth it, so I'd rather just get the guaranteed good situation of going for Reflect, as he does pull the switch into his Mega Beedrill, so the Glare play would have been a good one, but whatever. I still have a Reflect up. I will be able to take advantage of everything on his team. All he has left are physical attackers. I mean, Celesteela might be mixed, but at the very least it won't be purely special, so that Reflect will help me, as unfortunately Superior is going to go down to the U-turn, but now, because he killed me, I have the switch initiative. So he goes into his Persian, I'm going to go into my Heatran and get up my Roxas. That will help with chipping down the Beedrill, chipping down the Celesteela, and also chipping down like the Persian and the Miltank into better range of like my Landorus late game. So he goes into Miltank. I am just going to do what my Heatran does. I go for a Toxic as he decides to stay in and go for Ice Punch. I think he was predicting me to try to predict his Earthquake, but I mean, I have a Reflect up. I also have the Shuka Berry. I have no reason to switch out, especially when I can Toxic this Miltank and force it to reveal Heal Bell if it does have it. So I get the Toxic off as he goes for Ice Punch. That does 1%, literally 1%, and I'm going to go for the Magma Storm as I luckily connect, and he goes for a super effective, 4x super effective Earthquake through the Shuka Berry and the Reflect. It does 17%. I have never seen an Earthquake do that little to a Heatran, so that was actually kind of funny to see, as the Magma Storm and the Toxic will be wearing this Miltank down very nicely, and that's going to be very crucial for my Landorus late game, as this is the only thing that I don't believe I can OHKO from full with an Earth Power, so wearing this thing down is incredibly crucial. I ended up hitting my second Magma Storm in a row, so I was like, man, who needs Gravity? But then I miss this one as he is able to Milk Drink up, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I still need Gravity. It's fine. I mean, it's kind of a roll to take him out at this point, so I guess I'll just go for another Magma Storm, but I end up missing as he decides to just Earthquake again, as my Reflect did wear out, but thanks to the Shuka Berry and the Reflect from earlier, Earthquake only does 59, so my Heatran does live on 5%, and with the residual damage we are able to take out the Miltank, which was a very, very big, well, it was a very big nuisance for Landorus, so yeah, I'm looking actually really good for a potential Landorus late game. If I can like sack off my Deoxys to something to get up a Gravity, then I can set up a Rock Polish on Terrakion. I can actually set up a Rock Polish on every single one of his Mons. I mean, barring some sets like, I believe a Banded Terrakion, I really doubt I'd be able to set up a Rock Polish on. Getting a -1 from like Parting Shot Persian would be less than ideal, but if I can get a Gravity up against any of those guys, and they are not the aforementioned sets, then I do believe that I can just straight up win the game at this point, and as long as Celesteela does not have HP Ice, obviously. and any other mon doesn't have HP Ice. But either way, with my Heatran low, he goes into Terrakion, and I'm just going to Toxic that thing as he does get up his rocks. I mean, that's fine with me. I mean, it really, Heatran did its job. It got rid of Miltank, and it also is getting chip damage on the Terrakion, and considering Terrak just went for a Stealth Rock, I'm confident that he does not have a boosting move, so I'm going to go for the Protect, as I didn't think he would click it there. I would think he would just try to take me out, which he does, and I am able to rack up an additional turn of toxic damages. Unfortunately, I don't get the double Protect, but I really wasn't counting on that anyway. But either way, Heatran was able to get a good 41% on Terrakion, which was very, very nice. Like, this puts it perfectly in range of Weavile's low kick, and that aforementioned Gravity Rock Polish endgame is actually in sight. He lets me take out his Terrakion, and he goes into Celesteela, and this was the point in the game where I actually fully realized that the Rock Polish Gravity endgame was very attainable, because all I have to do is sack off Weavile to the Celesteela, sack off Deoxys to get a Gravity up, and then Landorus can set up a Rock Polish on this thing, assuming that it isn't like an Ice Berry set, or not Ice Berry, assuming that it isn't an HP Ice set, because I am not an Ice Berry. There we go. So to prevent any shenanigans like a random Shuka Berry, like if he just saw into the future and just had the godly prep of Shuka Berry, Celesteela, I am going to go ahead and knock off, also gets rid of lefties or other annoying items, as the Celesteela will knock out my Weavile with a Heavy Slam, and now, like I said, I'm going to go into my Deoxys. I was very relieved to see that he got the defense boost to prove that this was not an attacking Celesteela, so it was more than likely just a defensive one, and that the fact that he got the defense boost just confirms that. So I'm going to go into my Deoxys, go for the Gravity. If he ends up missing or getting if he ends up getting paralyzed, then I will be able to get hopefully a Zap Cannon off next turn, which unfortunately isn't, which is still under Gravity, the same accuracy as Stone Edge. So yeah, hitting that earlier against the Starmie was still very clutch, but now Gravity's up. Celesteela is paralyzed with no item. Landorus can come in, and even if he has HP Ice, it's a roll to knock me out from here, and not only that, he still can get paralyzed in the process, and if he doesn't have HP Ice, well, I'll just end up winning the game. So I'm going to go straight into my Landorus, and I can't pull any punches at this point. I am all in on this. I'm going to Rock Polish as he actually ends up protecting, and yeah, at this point, I will be able to win the game. He doesn't have enough turns to stall out the Gravity. Earth Power will be able to kill every single Mon, and I mean, Earth Power did kill this Persian, but I had the opportunity to click a Focus Blast with absolutely zero chance that it missed. I believe it has 117% accuracy at this point, and let's be real, how many times do you get to click Focus Blast knowing that it won't miss? I mean, the only realistic scenario off the top of my head is like a Specs Machamp, and even that isn't realistic. I mean, I use that term very loosely, but even though Earth Power killed, it just felt amazing to be able to click Focus Blast and knowing that it was going to hit the target, as, I mean, even if he tried to switch into Beedrill around the Focus Blast, then I would have been able to Earth Power clean up. But now, with the last turn of Gravity, I am going to be able to knock out this Beedrill with Earth Power, and we are able to take the game 2-0, so yeah, the Gravity team actually ended up working, surprisingly. I mean, I was kind of sad that I didn't get to show off the Dragonite. I didn't get to click Dragon Rush at any point, but I don't know. I feel like clicking Focus Blast and knowing that it's going to hit just kind of makes up for anything else that could have been achieved in that battle. And yeah, Gravity worked. I'm as shocked as you guys are, but either way, we actually end up bouncing back from that Week 1 loss. The Gravity team chalked up as a win, and yeah, we'll see what happens next week. Not sure if I have necessarily a team theme for next week, but I know I have at least one, if not two, heat sets in mind, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.